Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and we have assembled here once again today, and it's Doctor Who night, and we are going to talk about a Patrick Troughton story, and it's the Abominable Snowmen. And we're going to start off with Lee. Lee, what did you make of this story? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did. Patrick Troughton is one of my favourite Doctors, and the TARDIS team as well. That era produced a very good standard of TARDIS team, and Jamie and Victoria, I just love those two team together. So yeah, it's a very good, well-written story. 6 episodes. Sometimes you sit down and you think, oh, 6 episodes. You're going to get a couple of filler episodes, but not really in this one. It flew by. Well told, well acted, and for the introduction of the Great Intelligence, this for me is the best performance of the Great Intelligence in Doctor Who history so far. I just love Wolf Morris's performance as Padabar something or whatever, as Jamie said, Padabar something, whatever it's called, and as the Great Intelligence in between the character. Brilliant performance. But yeah, all in all, I can see why this is called a classic. And it's introduced the Yeti. Only appeared sort of twice in 2 full stories. 5 Doctors, I don't really count. That was a bit of a cameo, but yeah, classic story, well told, well acted. Troughton, he rocks in a fair coat. Over to you, Alec.
But why does it have to be mostly missing? Why does it have to be missing?
Is it? We do not know. It could turn
Well,
up.
it is missing because we don't know where it is, so it's technically missing.
if they animate it, it won't be missing anymore, would it?
I would. Do you know what I said about the Celestial Toy Maker, that I want that animated? I want this one found.
Oh.
I want this one actually found. Let's go to Beef Dad in Germany.
Just as I had some chocolate, thank you. I remember watching this when it was aired, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And yeah, Padmasambhava scared the crap out of me. He really was so creepy, so unpleasant looking. Deborah Watling playing Victoria, she was superb. And of course, her father playing Travers, lovely. The only one missing there was Dilys. She was probably in a pub somewhere knowing Dilys. Because she used to take great joy in sitting and taking the mickey out of me, while I was sitting and having a pint in the Albert of Battersea. But yeah, sadly Dilys is no longer with us. But yeah, the thing was that none of the monks, you would imagine with all those monks there that you would have some dodgy performances, but there was not a single dodgy performance watching it live. Yeah, all you've got these days is the photo snaps, mostly, except for one episode, and the feeling that you got from it, you felt that they were in Tibet. It really grabbed you and it took you there. Apart from the fact that there didn't seem to be very much snow, but there again, perhaps it was spring in Tibet. Pat Troughton, I think this was, to be perfectly honest, I think this was one of his best. I know Fraser particularly. Fraser really enjoyed doing this one because I asked him about it when I saw him last year, and it's one that he enjoyed doing, really enjoyed doing. And yet, as you say, the first appearance of the Great Intelligence, and how creepy was that? That was amazing. When the pyramid in the cave started to charge up, and the Great Intelligence was beginning to cover the mountain, that was just extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. And yeah, they didn't have much money for special effects then, but it was pretty damn convincing when we were sort of watching it week by week by week.
And let's go over to Susan and Alex. That was a strange reaction, Susan.
All right, well, okay. Death Sen Monastery was cool. Jamie and Victoria were cool. And I liked the fact that the Yeti were the shorter ones before they put them in the big suit with John Levine and all the other tall fellas in Web of Fear. I really liked the Great Intelligence. I don't think this is his best performance. I think Web of Fear is better because he had to it was a more modern setting for him, and if he's an interspatial traveler, he should be responsible to take over London. If he's taking over a small monastery in Tibet and a mountain is pretty cool, but taking over a whole city, that's bad, man. That's really great. Anyway, like it. I like the interplay of Jamie and Victoria. I always thought that they were like brother or sister, or a little more, kind of. It was just fun to watch them together. And yeah, Patrick Troughton. Yes, of course, this is a fantastic performance of his. I mean, he just did brilliantly. I agree with you, Beef Dad, completely. And I really like the dimension of the monks and stuff, and like that whole spiritual thing that could have happened. Anyway, here's Alex. He's got more to say.
I mean, it is a little overlong. The monks were good. I don't know. I mean, this was a different era of Doctor Who, and of course, without Patrick Troughton, I don't think it would have lasted quite as long. And then, of course, you have John Pertwee and Tom Baker. They started showing the modern version of Doctor Who. Of course, Victoria doesn't have a lot to do, which is sad because I thought that she was, a good inspiration for a character. Jamie is very good with the Doctor and didn't really like his character, but I got to meet him, and of course he's still on the convention circuit doing, meeting people and doing the impressions of himself and the second Doctor who's no longer with us. The story's a little overlong, it's a little over polite, but then that's the 60s. It was a great idea for a villain. Unfortunately, it's too bad they couldn't have brought it back. I know they brought it back with the 11th, but the problem is that when you show it, you take all the mystery out of it, and then the effects, even if they're top of the line, how do you show a great intelligence and make it threatening? But it was a good idea for a villain. Again, it's basically the second or third foundation for Doctor Who, the classic Doctor Who. And we'll see if they're still using it with the new version that's coming up later on this year. It's a little overlong, but that's the way it was, and TV was different, and they didn't have the internet unless you were in the military, so, stories were longer, and you had to spend more time. But it is a good story. The second Doctor has a lot of good stories, has a lot of good dialogue. He can flip. He can pretend to be the simple guy. He can pretend to be the fool. He can pretend to stall, but he's none of these. So he's again like Miss Marple. He sort of plays to the stereotypes that you think that he is, but he's not. So that's why it's fun watching Patrick Troughton, because he's actually a very good actor. He just doesn't appear that way. So if you think that you're going to see a typical leading man, this is not your actor. But if you want an actor that knows how to emote and knows how to talk without yelling and he wakes you up, this is one of your guys. So that's why I started watching the second Doctor, because technically, even though a lot of stories are missing and he doesn't have the most dynamic companions, he actually has very good companions. And the second Doctor is very well known for pacing and plotting. If you watch any Dalek story, you see how the pacing and the plotting is, and you think you know what's going to happen. And it's a twist, which is exactly what TV shows should be doing.
And you've got to remember that Patrick Troughton, it's like he's the second Doctor, and so many other Doctors, every single Doctor after him has tried to embody him in some way. They've all tried to take some of that zaniness, haven't they? They've all tried to take something of Patrick Troughton throughout the show, really. Let's go to Stephen Price in Wales.
Yes, it was filmed in Wales because Lee put in the chat earlier, it made him feel cold with you could hear the sound of the wind. That's what it's like in Wales.
But no rain.
I've walked, no rain in the episode. What happened there? I enjoyed the episode. It is one of my favourite Patrick Troughton episodes. It's a pity it's only one episode, so hopefully they can professionally animate it. So I hope they do it soon, because I think this one will sell really well.
Well, hopefully they do. You never know with the BBC, though, whoever does it, whoever manages it.
Yeah.
Any more to add?
I did like I watched the animation on YouTube. It was all right, but not. It would be better when it's professionally, done, like Power of the Daleks.
Exactly, yeah. Would you like it in colour or as it is?
For that time, I would like it in black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more atmosphere, I think. Black and white has more atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, I didn't like it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. Beef Dad is completely right that Patrick Troughton is absolutely on top form. It is probably one of his best bit of acting. But Patrick Troughton's great anyway, so it's a very high standard. And you've got to remember, there is most of this missing. There's only one episode that is actually out there that we can actually watch. And that's a real shame, because I absolutely love this TARDIS team. You can tell that they're all having such a good time. I mean, Jamie is one of the best companions in Doctor Who history. Full stop, Jamie's one of the best. Jamie's the best male companion, and he's one of the best companions. Victoria, brilliant. And, of course, Patrick Troughton, second Doctor, amazing. You got the great intelligence. which I agree with Lee. This is his best story. He was brought back, of course, for the Matt Smith run, but no, they destroyed his character. Really, it was poor in the new series run.
Okay, but what do you think about Web of Fear?
I prefer this to Web of Fear. I think this is better than Web of Fear. And this like Lee says, this is 6 episodes long, which actually I didn't realize it was that long. For some reason, I thought it was 4 or 5 episodes for some reason. But it's 6 episodes long, but it doesn't drag. I never found myself bored or uninterested. And I think it does go back to Patrick Troughton. And it does go back to Fraser Hines and Deborah Watlin, how they were so good in the episode. And of course, the villains and stuff like that, and the Yeti. The Yeti are absolutely classic Doctor Who monsters. You know, so this is an amazing story that I would love for them to find, not animate, I would love for them to find, because I love this TARDIS team. And I think all of their stories should be able to watch, because they're one of the best TARDIS teams, definitely. In fact, I'd go far to say as a team, they are the best. Sarah Jane's my favourite companion, but I think my favourite TARDIS team is these 3. And the episode is just written well altogether. The episode's just well written. And it's well paced, it's well acted. And you've got to remember, this is only the 5th season of Doctor Who. This is only the 5th one. So Doctor Who's still fairly new in its timeline. And this is really a brilliant episode, it really is. I'm going to throw open the floor to whoever wants to speak. If anybody wants to add anything else, feel free just to jump in.
I like the volcano scene at the end, where the snow or the spirit of the great intelligence was over the mountain, and then it blew up and it looked like a volcano. And that's kind of, you know, it's kind of timely, because there was a volcano that erupted in Indonesia recently. Anyway.
Anyone else got anything to add, Lee?
This episode is the first one where you get Victoria's character developing a bit more, because before that she's been a scared, timid young girl. This one, she's been braver in this. She's going around the inner sanctum. She's sneaking around corners, watching. She's been, she's a character's developed and changed in this story, which I quite like. Because everybody who thinks of Victoria always think of the first of the Screaming Companions, which really
isn't true. No, because she has that great moment in Tomb of the Cybermen as well.
Yeah. But she was a scared little girl in that story. This one, they developed the character, which is a good thing. So Jamie, Fraser Hines, Jamie, you can't go wrong with his character. It's just.
I love Jamie. Yeah.
I just like the comedy element with Troughton and Fraser Hines. And Troughton, when the doctor said, "Oh, Jamie said, I've got an idea. Come away, Victoria. It's worst thing we can do. Jamie's got an idea. Let's go far away from here."
Yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah, that was funny. That was, yeah.
When he's trying to hypnotize Victoria, and Jamie goes off in a trance. He said, "Oh no, not you!" But yeah, it's a wonderful. I'll say a little story. It is a long story, 6 episodes, but it's a little gem, a missing gem, as you would say. But also, what's the actor's name? Who played Cresson? Norman Jones, a stalwart of Doctor Who. He's been in many, many Doctor Who stories. Such a recognisable face, but brilliant as Cresson. The Abbot, the Abbot was. I thought the Abbot could have been a bit more menacing, but there again, it was he wasn't the great intelligence. He was
No.
just a pawn in the great intelligence's game. So yeah,
And have
that's
you
it.
seen many threatening pawns in your life?
Prawns or pawns?
Either one.
I don't like prawns.
Don't you? No, I don't either. I don't like prawns.
That's me. Anyway,
The great intelligence in this, you know, his face, the abbot, he had a scary, you know, voice, a scary demeanor, a scary presence, but you know, it wasn't like when he took over other people that you had already kind of gotten to know. That's just FYI.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
Yeah, but that wasn't the great intelligence's face. That was whatever his name was. That wasn't the great intelligence. The great intelligence is an invisible force.
Right, but like I'm saying, we hadn't met him before, and we hadn't gotten to know him as a character before he was infected with the great intelligence. In other words, he didn't start off with a human face and become evil. He was you know, a baddie the whole time through.
Yeah.
That was what was different between the portrayal of great intelligence in the 11th Doctor and this one, and the Web of Fear, which I thought was more menacing because he took over other people you'd already gotten to know, for crying out loud.
You just prefer that because of Brigadier's in it.
Oh, come on. No, I'm serious. Do you not understand what I just said? Never mind.
Also, well, you're learning this, that the Doctor has been there 300 years before.
Yep.
Yeah. With the
but he recognises the Doctor's face, and I'm thinking, hold on a minute, there's something going wrong there. But
wouldn't be Patrick Troughton, yeah.
It would have been but there we go. We don't know what Time Lord years are compared to human years, Adam. But,
and didn't he show up later in the second Doctor's time and go back to it? But you know, he had it. That was timey-wimey. That was really cool, actually.
Wait there, because I think Beef Dad wants to speak.
Yeah.
You want to say something, Beef Dad? Just you're muted.
Well, as far as the animation is concerned, Robert Ritchie did a brilliant job in the Daleks. I think he'd quite enjoy animating this. I've got a funny feeling it got mentioned at the convention. I know Fraser Hines said that he would love to be animated. To which Wendy Padbury said, well, don't you think you're animated enough?
That's really
I would much rather find the original than the animation, because I remember the original just so well. And it's one of those ones that got talked about by everybody. Everybody laughed at the Yeti. I mean, yeah, they're not particularly scary.
No.
In fact, I've always thought that the Yeti were rather cuddly. I mean, you know, I always thought, as I say, I always thought the Yeti were rather cuddly, but the really scary thing in it is the great intelligence. And of course, Padma I must get some names. Padma. Yeah, he really was scary. That was really, really creepy, that makeup. It's just a brilliant story, brilliantly told, with a superb cast.
Exactly. What more can you ask for?
That's it.
Anybody else got anything to add? Lee?
I did mention earlier we was having private chats, but you noticed that the Yeti didn't roar in this episode. They were silent. Not like in Web of Fear where they added the roar. which I don't know. I prefer them silent. I don't know about you.
Don't really have any preference, really.
I
It's-
don't know. I mean,
it didn't really affect the story at all.
It sort of went with the atmosphere of the story. A silent monster on the mountains, sort of thing.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, actually, I see your point. Yeah, it makes them more scary that they're silent because you don't know they're coming.
Exactly. Yeah. Apart from the beeping of the spheres.
Yeah. They really need to get rid of that, don't they? You know.
But also as well from the screenshots of the episodes, what are on YouTube and wherever on Daily Motion, all the TV shots of the the black and white episodes.
Telesnaps.
The sets looked wonderful. The telesnaps. The sets looked wonderful. The statue of the Buddha and all like that. I mean,
it's a shame.
On a small budget, it's amazing what the BBC could do back then in them days.
Well, somebody on YouTube has done a trailer of this in HD in colour.
Wow.
You should see it. I was watching it earlier. I'll put the link in the chat.
Please do. That would be really cool. The crazy thing is that this monastery looks like a Buddhist monastery. It looks, whatever Tibetan form of Eastern religion there, it really was. It looked like that. It had the Buddha. It had the whole thing was rich. I mean, it was really cool, and that was also pretty timely because Tibet is they're not a country anymore. They were back then, but now they're not. And they weren't at the Winter Olympics, even though they have the Himalayas there. And they were, they're amazing people, and yet, they're not self-governing people. And there are monasteries sprinkled all throughout the whole country, or the whole region anyway, and it's really interesting.
Anyone else have anything to say before we go to final say and score? Anybody? Say now or forever hold your peace. Nope, we're going to final say and score. Let's go to Stephen Price from Tibet.
Right, Tibet. Nowhere near Wales.
Not according to Doctor Who. What's amazing is that when they filmed this episode in Wales, it hasn't stopped raining since.
Whereabouts in Wales? Does anybody know?
I would say the Brecon Beacons.
Yeah, somewhere up there. Yeah.
Thank you.
It could be further on mine. I don't know.
Yeah, like Snowdon or something.
I prefer this. You all been saying I prefer this to the Web of Fear. Yeah, I wish I'd love them to find the whole episode, the whole episode. Final say and score. My favorite episode of Troughton's, and it gets a 10 out from me.
A 10 from Wales. Let's go to Germany. What's it getting from Germany? Come in, Germany.
It was filmed in Snowdonia and Gwynedd.
Oh, Snowdonia. Oh, what's Snowdonia?
Yeah, and Gwynedd. It's, as I say, it's one of Troughton's absolute best. I mean, God knows he did some good ones, but I absolutely loved this one. It's always had a special place in my little Whovian heart. It's an absolute 10 out of 10, definitely.
It's not getting a gold-plated 10. It's got to
Oh,
get a
no,
bit
I mean, if we were going to do precious metals, it would be a solid platinum 10.
platinum. Wow, a platinum 10. There we go. That's a first. Let's go to Susan and Alex. Anything below a platinum, and you're out of here.
Yeah,
Alex, remove him from the building, please. He's gonna give it lower than I know he is.
I'd give it a 7.5. Jamie is not my favorite companion, but it is a good story. It is good foundation. But like I said, I like other ones better, like Evil of the Daleks and Power of the Daleks and things like that.
Susan, what attracted you to Alex?
Well, we are different, and that's really wonderful.
Yeah.
And I like the way he thinks. He's just he thinks differently from myself and probably everybody here, at least in this episode. I mean, he lined up pretty much exactly with us in the Celestial Toymaker.
Now he goes and gives us a 7.
But it's just you gotta give a person their own opinion. Their right to their own opinion. So anyway, I'm going to give mine. I like it. I think it's great. I think it's a really cool episode. I'll give it a 9.5 big furry Yetis out of 10.
What's wrong with these Americans? It's somebody in the water there, isn't there? Give it a 10, Susan.
Why? I mean, Web of Fear's better as far as the great intelligence is concerned, because he steals my friends, my little friends. He steals Patrick Troughton. He steals Mr. Travers, and actually, in terms of like the Hazeman estate and the way it's been written, he shows up at the monastery, and then he goes to do this, so it's further along in his character development too.
But without this episode, you wouldn't have the Web of Fear.
I know that.
So it's got to be a 10.
Oh gosh,
it's got to be a 10 because you wouldn't have it. But you got that episode. You got Tomb. You wouldn't have it otherwise if it wasn't for this episode being so good.
Dios mío!
Look at the stress on Susan's face.
Dios mío! No! 9.5.
Let's go over to Hull for some sanity. Wrong place. Let's go.
All right. Yeah, brilliant story, brilliant cast, brilliant performances. There was a third Yeti story planned for 1969, but never happened. Was going to be in Scotland apparently.
Filmed in Wales, probably.
Yeah, just because the only thing what takes away from, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. The only thing what takes away from these 6 episodes is the episodes don't exist. The telesnaps for me aren't my favourite things. So I'm giving it a 9.
It's spreading. It's bloody spreading.
It's
come across the border now. It's come across the water.
If the episodes were there, it would have been a 10.
Well, I'm never going to forgive you for this.
Just took away the enjoyment a little slightly. So over to you. It's a 9.
I'm never going to forgive you, Lee, for giving it a 9. I think you're absolutely mad. For me, the acting's brilliant. The sets are great for the episode that we saw, and going by the telesnaps. It's a shame that most of it is missing. I hope it gets found, because this TARDIS team is just absolutely amazing. It's my favourite TARDIS team, and for that reason, it's getting a 9. I would like to thank everybody here for joining me. I'd like to thank you for watching.
Hold on. What happened to the 10 you was asking everybody else to do?
Tell us below what you make of this episode. Look after yourself. Take care, and we will see you next time.